Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Washington Commanders head coach Dan Quinn eyeing former Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Martavis Bryant. Dan Quinn has been making plenty of free agent signings ever since he became head coach of the Washington Commanders, and given his former position with the Dallas Cowboys, it's no shock that he would be going after former members of that team. This started with the signing of defensive lineman Dorrance Armstrong, who was signed to a $22 million three-year contract. He continued by bringing in center Tyler Biadasz with a $9.75 million per year salary and a $20 million guarantee. He also brought in edge rusher Dante Fowler and cornerback/special teamer Noah Igbinoghene. It's clear that Quinn is focused on stacking the roster with as many of his former team as possible, and this latest attempt definitely shows that intention. Quinn now has his eyes on former Cowboys wide receiver Martavis Bryant. Bryant was a fourth-round pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2014, and though he showed some promise early on, he was suspended for the rest of the 2016 season due to his violation of the league's substance abuse policy. Bryant was reinstated ahead of the 2017 season and finished with a total of 50 receptions with 603 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. He was traded in 2018 to the then Oakland Raiders for a third-round pick, but he was released before the beginning of the season due to yet another violation of the league's substance abuse policy. Bryant was re-signed 10 days later and finished the season with 19 receptions and 266 receiving yards in the 8 games he played that season. Bryant is clearly an asset reception-wise, but his trend of suspensions does not reflect well on him. Bryant was out of football until 2021 when he was signed to the CFL team the Toronto Argonauts, but he never played a single game with the team, as he was suspended for not showing up to training camp. He jumped from team to team and even leagues before signing with the Cowboys practice squad in November of last year, making his return to the NFL. Bryant has not played in an NFL game since 2018, and even then he spent a huge majority of his time suspended. Bryant was released from the practice squad in January to make room for La'el Collins, but he re-signed with the team on a futures deal for after the season. Quinn clearly sees something in Bryant and has reportedly worked him out on Wednesday, May 15. Only time will tell if he ends up joining the already stacked roster of the Washington Commanders, but it seems the 32-year-old veteran isn't quite done yet. Cowboys mailbag, questions on contract negotiations, veteran additions, and roster holes. Every week, we take questions on X, Twitter, and Facebook about Dallas Cowboys players and other issues surrounding the team. So let's get right into it. Mike, so far all is quiet on the Western Front in both aspects. The Jones have said they intend to sign both and have commented numerous times how they feel Dak is their quarterback for the future. The issue with hanging on for so long is the price keeps going up. You would have thought after the experience of signing Dak the last time the front office would have learned that hanging around does you no favors. Brandon, CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott's contract negotiations currently sit at a standstill. Reports from Jane Slater, Michael Gehlken, Josina Anderson, and Ian Rappaport have stated there has been zero contact about a new contract between the Jones and Prescott. As for Lamb, Gehlken reiterated on Tuesday that his absence from team activities was due to his desire for a new contract. Before the Cowboys left for Oxnard, California last offseason, people were wondering if the team would be getting a new deal done with cornerback Trayvon Diggs. Out of nowhere, the team was able to get something done with their all-pro corner and safety Malik Hooker. In the past, they've agreed to new contracts with Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, Dez Bryant, and Ezekiel Elliott around training camp. Who knows if a deal with Prescott will get done this offseason, but if any talks heat up this summer, I'd guess it would be with Lamb. Mike, if they should look anywhere for veteran additions, it's on the defensive line, or more specifically at inside defensive tackle. Nothing has been mentioned about making additions to the defensive tackle position, and in all likelihood, we won't hear much until we get past the first preseason game. From there they'll evaluate what they have, make a decision on which veteran guys could fit the bill and then try and make those additions. Brandon, if there are any additions to be made, it would probably come during or after training camp. The Cowboys seem confident in where their roster stands right now at those three positions, needing to see what leaves shake from the tree. It sounds like there's excitement around what defensive tackle Justin Rogers could contribute as a rookie, and they need to see growth from Jalen Tolbert. The coaches also love what Rico Dowdle can bring to the table. Bringing in another veteran right now, before seeing what happens in training camp, would cloud things up. Injuries will happen, that's the nature of the game. It would be a surprise to see anyone of note added to the roster at receiver, running back, and defensive tackle without getting an idea on what they have. Mike, it has to be adding more players at the 3-tech position. Right now, Osa Odigizua is the only pure 3-tech on the roster, and he can't go out there for 17 games and do it all on his own. With question marks on what Chauncey Galston's role is on this roster, there's a chance he could end up being cut, so now you have to ask what's the identity as well as the depth of this defensive line. There's plenty of depth at most of the other positions this side of camp, but how much that changes once the team is in camp remains on the development and abilities of the guys already here. Analyst makes a bold prediction about Mike McCarthy's future. This is going to be a massive year in Dallas, Texas. The pressure will be on the shoulders of Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, and the rest of the Cowboys to finally push through to a Super Bowl. However, if they don't, things will go south quite quickly, especially for the head coach in McCarthy. At least, that's how Fox Sports' Craig Carton sees it. I think Mike McCarthy gets fired around Thanksgiving. The Dallas Cowboys are going to be sitting at 3-7. The Mike McCarthy watch is going to start very early, Carton said recently on The Carton Show. Dallas has won 12 games in each of the last 3 seasons. They've won the NFC East twice in that stretch. However, they have just one playoff win to show for it, and that came against a pretty much retired Tom Brady in 2022. The Cowboys desperately need to make an NFC championship run at the very least this year. They haven't done that since the late 90s. In 2024, it might be tough to do so with their schedule. They will have 10 games against teams that made the playoffs in 2023, and that doesn't include ascending teams such as the Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, and Washington Commanders. They will face 5 teams with a winning record in the first 6 weeks of the season. In weeks 8 to 11, they will face the 49ers, Falcons, Eagles, and Texans. McCarthy and company will need to win when they can. If not, multiple people will be unemployed after the season, and that includes McCarthy. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Mike McCarthy? Leave your opinion in the comments.